Welcome to Destination Dive. I'm Jennifer Gray at beautiful Hawks Cay on Duck Key in the Middle Keys. The Florida Keys conjure up images of palm trees, crystal clear water, and in any direction of where I'm standing, you'll find some of the best diving on the planet. I've been lucky enough to experience some of these incredible spots, but it's really the locals who know the best places to take the plunge. We asked some which are their favorites, so get set to dive like a native.
The diving in Key Largo is special mainly because of the shallowness. Lots of bottom time, lots of color, lots of fish, lots of coral. It's easy to get to. You don't have to have this major travel plan to go somewhere. Every section of reef is a little bit different than the next. Some of them are a little older, some of them are a little newer, and I mean older by a couple 100,000 years compared to other ones.
And these precious corals need protecting.
A lot of our dive sites that we go to on a normal basis are sanctuary protected areas, they're spa areas. So they're protected from fishing, anchoring, taking anything in the water, and that's mostly where we do most of our diving. They've been set apart back in the 80s and 90s to do that.
Dawson and other Key Largo locals flock to historic Carysfort Lighthouse. Located in a sanctuary preserve area, this 1.5 square nautical mile site is one of the best developed reef systems in the Keys.
It's an amazing, beautiful view when you're moored up just off the lighthouse on a really, really pretty day, and it's just towering, you know, a couple 100 feet above the water right there. The mooring lines are really close to the reef in like 15 feet of water, but yet we can also get down to like 75, 80 feet of water with just a very short swim, which is kind of unusual for most of our reefs up here in the Florida Keys, especially in the northern section. Usually we have really flat reef sections that go in about 15 to 45 feet. And this one will just kind of slope down from about 35 down to like 80 feet or so. It's really big coral heads. Kind of reminds me of like Alice in Wonderland with the big giant mushroom corals coming up and the big brain corals coming out. And it's really, really pretty.
Welcome to John Pennekamp Coral Reef State Park. Established in 1960 and named for a Miami journalist whose editorials helped lead efforts to protect the Florida Keys coral reef, this is America's first undersea park. The diving is spectacular. It's the corals that keep divers and snorkelers coming back year after year. But you don't have to get wet to experience Pennekamp.
We have all kinds of things that we offer here. There's beaches, walking trails, a visitor center that has all kinds of educational information, as well as an aquarium. And then we also do snorkeling trips, dive trips, and a glass bottom boat trip.
Pennekamp encompasses 70 nautical square miles, and the array of fish is mind-boggling.
This park really captures the Florida Keys, all the different ecosystems we have here. We have a whole bunch of mangroves, which is a huge ecosystem in the Florida Keys, has nursery grounds for all kinds of baby fish. And then we also get to go out and see those coral reefs that we're so famous for. The reefs are so special here. We have all kinds of different life there. We have anything from spotted eagle rays, nurse sharks, Caribbean reef sharks, and then all kinds of fish that are there, damselfish, butterfly fish. Everything is so bright and healthy still, and we just really want to help and keep it that way.
Over 600 species of tropical fish are present, including parrotfish, snappers, barracudas, and angelfish. This is one of the reasons why it's important to protect coral reefs.
It's important to see it because it shows you what you're caring about when you're doing things for the environment, when you're buying that reef-safe sunscreen, when you're watching the emissions on your car, when you're turning down your AC. Everything that goes into affecting the environment, it all comes back to these reefs. The smallest amount of difference on our oceans affects these reefs really, really greatly.
And if that isn't enough, there are approximately 70 species of corals.
They are just blown away when they see our coral reefs. Our reefs are bright, beautiful. It's unlike anything anyone has ever seen before, especially if people are coming here from places like Ohio or middle of America. They just don't see these ecosystems where they are, and they can't believe they look exactly like they do on the TVs. I hope people come home with the passion that we all have for saving our reefs, with the passion for changing their everyday decisions, using single-use plastic, using products that are ocean safe, and really just start to really care about our oceans and put work into saving them so that we can all have them for years and years.
Off the coast of Islamorada lies Alligator Reef Lighthouse, which is a designated preservation area or SPA. There are 18 spas within the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary. They are biologically important and help sustain critical marine species and habitats.
The reef that we like to dive is adjacent to that lighthouse. Alligator Reef is special because it's a ledge, and for some reason, the fish just love to congregate there en masse. It is easily the most prolific site that we dive for marine life. Turtles are there, sharks are there, eels are there, schools of snapper, schools of grunts, Goliath grouper, I can go on. If it's going to be seen, 9 times out of 10, it's seen at Alligator Reef.
Alligator Reef Lighthouse is named after the USS Alligator, a Navy schooner that ran aground on the reef in 1822 and sank.
It's a neat little piece of history. According to historians, they did fend off pirates, wreckers also back in the day.
For divers like Goldberg, there's a certain mystique that goes along with a site near a lighthouse.
It is such an iconic symbol of this area of the Keys, and I think it's an iconic symbol of the Keys. When you look at a lot of the material that's out there, a large percentage have that specific lighthouse because it is so pretty. The waters that are surrounding it are shallow. Obviously, it's a lighthouse, so it was meant to keep ships from running aground, and so it is going to be shallow water, but it's got this beautiful, crystal clear blue water.
Snorkelers and divers love this spot.
If you're snorkeling, the turtles come to the surface, and you're swimming right next to the turtles. I mean, how many people in Idaho have that experience, and even in their lifetime? If you're a diver, they will sit on the top of the reef in about 15 feet of water, and they love to scratch their backs. And they'll just sit there and rub and rub and rub. You can just sit there and watch them and film them, and they won't move. They're as close as, 2-3 feet, and they don't care. They're just so happy to be there and aren't really concerned about the interaction with people. As long as you keep that distance, right? Don't touch them, don't grab them, don't disturb that peace that you have with them, then they'll always be there.
And then there are the night dives.
We'll see anywhere between 10, 15 turtles in a matter of an hour, and you can sit on your knees and you can see turtles just circling in front of you at night. So it is quite amazing, and it's a very easy dive. So someone that is a new novice diver, what a perfect place to start. It's almost, it almost ruins it in that you see so much in one dive. You're thinking that maybe this is something I see on every dive, and it's not the case. I think about some of the things that I've seen there. I've come face to face with some pretty cool stuff. I would say that typically I like seeing Goliath groupers there. You can get up close. You can see them pump their gills. You can see down the gut of their mouth. I like that, and new divers get a real thrill out of it because they can see something that's, in some cases, as big as a VW Beetle.
And while these giants may seem invincible, Goldberg says it's up to us to keep their home, our oceans, livable.
What you can do to help us, runoff is a big problem. So when you're trying to keep your lawn green, the runoff from that, you can be up in Chicago or in St. Louis or in New York City. I feel the effects of that.
Weed killers kill more than weeds. We have choices. Recycle, avoid plastic, and be aware of chemicals that may make their way into bays and oceans. We all can make a difference.
Some of the most spectacular dive spots are located off Marathon in the Middle Keys. Local divers will tell you that if you want to dive, this is a must-see location.
You never know when you put a mask on and you look underwater what you're going to see. Anywhere. It really doesn't matter. You can find little stingrays, you can find different kinds of jacks and yellowtail snapper.
Among areas off Marathon that locals love to dive is the Coffin's Patch Sanctuary Preservation Area. It's a big circular reef.
If you go in the circle, you'll eventually come back to your boat. It can be as shallow as 12 feet. It can be deep as about 25 to 28. It got its name because a barge ran aground there, dumped coffins off in it a while ago. So that's how it got its name.
Rest assured, there are no coffins still at Coffin's Patch, and this dive is perfect for families.
If you had a family member who was a snorkeler and you were a diver, you could both be on the same boat.
Colorful fish and soft corals make this spot truly special.
And the soft coral at Coffin's is in really good shape. We see a lot of moray eels at Coffin's, and I don't know why that we see them there. The biggest one I've ever seen in the Keys lives on it. So he's about that big around, and he's about 6 feet long, and he's a really big green moray. And most morays don't swim out in the open in the daytime. This guy has no problem swimming out in the open in the daytime.
And for people like Slifka, diving near Marathon never gets old.
For me, I've been doing this for 45 years, and my boss said, when am I going to quit? And I said, two things. If I can't come up the ladder with the tank on my back, I'm going to quit. I said, also when it becomes unexciting. It's never not been exciting. Like we said, you never know what you're going to see. You never know what's going to come out of the water around the corner.
The dives off Big Pine Key and the lower Keys are also a favorite with locals. Bahia Honda State Park is a jewel and a great place for experienced divers and first-timers alike.
Well, Bahia Honda is probably one of the few real natural beaches we have in the Keys. So it's a great place if you've never really been in the water and you want to get in and go shallow to a little bit deeper. And it's almost all sand where people go. You can see different fish sometimes and different things, but the real beauty of it's the beach itself. And that's why people go there. It's easy access. They can walk into it up to there, however deep they want to go. And it's not threatening because the waves aren't high. When you get people getting into the water for the first time, other than in a lake or a quarry, the ocean conditions can be intimidating. But at Bahia Honda, they're very rarely intimidating.
Located in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary is Looe Key. The diversity of fish is astounding.
And most of us who live here, who work here, will tell you that we think it's one of the last best reefs in the state of Florida for a lot of different reasons, including all the marine life we see on it. But the fact that it's been a protected area for so long has made it a special place.
Huge boulder corals that scientists believe are approximately 500 years old can be found here. And turtles, dolphins, and sharks are abundant.
We have all different kinds of species of sharks. We'll see during different times of the year a lot of lobster. I think the most eels I've seen on one dive at Looe have been 5 or 6, which is a lot of eels to see on one dive. All 5 species of angelfish that live in the Western Atlantic can be found on Looe Key.
Also located near Big Pine Key is Cudjoe Key.
And if you go off of Cudjoe, the fishing is really good. So a lot of people like to go off near Cudjoe and go do fishing.
And there's a special vibe that only locals can bring.
Most people who live on most of the smaller keys like Cudjoe are very respectful of the ocean. They try to observe the rules.
Off the beaten path, secluded and serene. These are just a few of the words that describe this special spot. Swimming with parrotfish, sergeant majors, angelfish, and more than 150 other species translates into an amazing experience. These are just a few of the dives locals flock to. Off the beaten path can make for some of the most extraordinary experiences. The southernmost tip of the United States is well worth the journey, as locals will tell you some of the best diving is off of Key West. Sambo Reef Ecological Reserve is a large ecosystem divided into 3 parts.
There's eastern Sambos, there's middle Sambos, and there's western Sambos. Eastern Sambos is a research zone, so you're not even allowed to go across it without having the proper permits. Middle Sambos is a free use area, so you can spearfish, you can dive, you can snorkel, all that stuff over there. The real crown jewel of it is Western Sambos, which is the protected sanctuary area. The whole reef is maybe about a quarter long, Western Sambos, but it's got a number of different dive sites that are fantastic, full of diversity.
Its depth and structures are like magnets. Loggerheads, rays, barracudas, yellowtails, and countless other species flock to this area.
Everybody's always happy because it's easy. It's an easy dive to do. It's not challenging. We don't get a lot of current. It's very calm. So it is sort of like going through kind of space.
Next on our list, the Haystacks, located on Western Sambo.
So the Haystacks is one of my favorite dive sites. It's along the Western Sambos Ecological Reserve, and that has a number of isolated pillar corals.
An endangered species, pillars are hard corals that often resemble clusters of cigars or fingers.
That's one of my favorite spots to dive. When you look underneath, you can see things like moray eels and lionfish and smaller groupers like black groupers, red groupers, even some Nassau groupers, which are pretty rare around here.
As you move up into the typical spur and groove finger formation from the Haystacks, you find some of those larger fish such as grouper and a lot of schooling, yellowtail snapper, as well as the ever-present grunts.
Another fantastic dive site that locals love, Lost Reef,
which is a beautiful horseshoe-shaped coral formation that we don't dive very often. We only make it out there a few times a year. We always see just amazing fish out there. The life out there is just absolutely phenomenal.
What do you see?
Out there, we see a lot of schooling yellowtail coming through the area. There is a number of the smaller cleaning stations. It's not uncommon to find the wrasses and gobies with some cleaning shrimp as well.
Native divers call Lost Reef an undiscovered hidden gem. Let's head further out to another site that's not only a great place to dive, it serves an environmental purpose.
We head out to Western Dry Rocks, usually a handful of times during the summer. It's a little bit further than most of the dive sites we visit. And some of the interesting things on the Western Dry Rocks is it is outside of the special protected areas. We definitely see a lot of fish, especially on the sites that aren't visited quite as often.
This is the perfect place for something called a spawning aggregation site.
So a spawning aggregation is when a group of fish come together to reproduce, and these fish normally live more solitary lives the rest of the year. And these aggregations are predictable in time and space, so that makes them susceptible to overharvest. Now, the reason this is important is because around the world, spawning aggregations of reef fish have experienced overharvest, and they are declining. Protecting a multi-species spawning aggregation where these groups of fish come and reproduce can have ramifications for the rest of the environment. If you have these areas that these animals are allowed to reproduce freely and they're protected while they reproduce, then you know you're going to have fish recruiting to your area in the future.
And the spectacular corals that also inhabit Western Dry Rocks have a better chance to survive.
It's important for our future generations. We're looking to conserve coral.
Western Dry Rocks is closed to fishing from April 1st through July 31st, but it's actually open to divers all year round. I'm Jennifer Gray. Thanks for watching. See you next time on Destination Dive.